And welcome to another edition of East LA Sports Scene as we come back into the community here in the Boyle Heights Technology and Youth Center for our in-studio programs. We're glad to be back, and to kick things off, why not have Coach from Roosevelt High School, Javier Cid, and he's going to talk to us about this past season, the strength of that season, the accomplishments of that season, and the production for two All-City players from the Roosevelt Rough Riders, the 2012 edition. So, Coach Javier Cid, welcome back.
Thank you.
Coach, it's been one long year, and we're also glad this is your home. Mi casa es su casa.
Oh, absolutely.
As you know that. And,
love this community.
And Roosevelt being, of course, the jewel of high schools here in Boyle Heights and in East LA.
Yes.
Very, very, very glad to have you back here with the kids and the players. And as I mentioned the intro, we want to talk about Rough Rider football 2012 because why? A great season, and at the end of that season, two of your players they earned and merited All-City selection, and that, of course, would be Gilbert Herrera and Jonathan Godoy. We're going to bring them in as part of this interview. But, Coach, let's begin and kind of rewind the tape to the start of last year and where and when these two players really, really stepped up and earned this very, very important award.
Yes, as far as our season goes, there's always uncertainty during the summer. People are wondering how the season's going to go. But one of the things that we try to do at Roosevelt is rely on what we call our 3-year varsity guys. Mm-hmm. Two of the guys that you mentioned, Jonathan and Gilbert. So we really try to get kids to play varsity for 3 years because, we know when we have them for 3 years that a lot of good things are going to happen in our program. They're going to be experienced. They're going to be the guys that know our system well, and they're going to perform well on the field. This year we were 8-3. We lost in the first round to a Carson team, who everybody knows Carson, one of the top teams in the city for many years. I was happy with our season. Obviously, you want to win every game, but we were 8-3. Overall, I thought when you look at the whole season as a whole, I thought it was a good season for our seniors. This year we kind of stepped up from the year before, where this was actually our second year in Division I. Our first year was in 2011. We didn't make the playoffs, but in 2012 we did. So I saw basically an improvement, and then coming into this season, we hope to improve from there.
Okay, Coach, you have been at the helm at Roosevelt. And have guided the Rough Riders through very, very successful seasons. Before we meet the current All-City players, Godoy and Herrera, a little bit more background as to how many other players have been named All-City.
Yeah, we've had a lot of players. I think that one of the highlights was in 2009. We had 6 players make All-City, and that's kind of I think probably the year where we had the most All-City players. We had guys like Jesse Diaz, Rafael Ortega, Jeremy Aguilar was part of that team. We had, like I said, a bunch of guys that made All-City, but we're in Division II. Since 2011, we moved into Division I, and it gets a lot tougher. Last year, our first year in Division I, we had Ricardo Alfaro, our big lineman. He was our sole guy. He's the only guy that made All-City. And then this year, we had a better year. We had a better season, and we had 2 guys. So, that's just kind of how it goes. Out of, now and at the LA Unified, we have 70 schools. I believe, I'm not sure exactly how many were in, maybe 27 or 24 were in Division I. So out of those schools, which are the cream of the crop in the city, they selected this All-City team. And, I was actually pleasantly surprised that Jonathan Godoy was a first-team offensive lineman, and they only picked 5. So out of those 24 teams, he was one of the 5 best offensive linemen. And then Gilbert Herrera was one of those your all-around players. He played a lot of different positions for us. So he made All-City as a defensive back, but he was an all-star in offense and special teams, and everywhere else. He never came off the field.
Going to be tough to replace?
Oh, believe me, I can tell you right now that Gilbert is going to go down as one of my favorite players of all time. Without a doubt, because we put a lot of pressure on him. I remember as a sophomore, I was looking for a guy to be like our what do you call it? Our wildcat type of quarterback in case our other quarterback went down. So I said I chose him. I go, I'm going to put our best athlete at quarterback, and it worked out. Yeah. He did an outstanding job wherever we put him.
And Jonathan Godoy.
Oh, Jonathan Godoy.
The line work, O-line, D-line, it's sometimes they say goes very, very sometimes unrewarded during the season, but the sports writers and the beat writers and people that know football, especially high school, saw some very outstanding qualities and some accomplishments in Jonathan. Talk real briefly about it.
Yeah, Jonathan Godoy basically played started for us on offense and defense, and I think I remember his first start. His solid start was as a sophomore against Garfield, and I think that was the first. We said, "Hey, we're going to play the kid." 10th grader, and he did a pretty good job. He was going against a really good offensive lineman from Garfield. From there, we knew he had to be our guy. And I know that once he plays in college, he only stays on one side of the ball. He's going to be that much better. But he's a guy that was our all-around guy. Never came off the field. Okay. So that's one of the that he did an outstanding job.
And we understand there is a tradition in the Godoy family.
Oh yeah, the Godoy family is very competitive with sports. Going back to Dad, who also played football, and his older brother, who's probably one of the best centers I've had, to him, and now to his little brother. And I understand he has a little sister who also plays sports. So sports are run deep in their family, and they're always around sports, and they're all very competitive, outstanding players. There's a little Godoy. We call him Little Godoy. His little brother is going to be he's a 9th grader right now. He's going to be a sophomore for us. But over the past year, this kid's grown a lot. So good. I don't know. Hopefully, we call him Big Godoy.
Coach, we're going to come back. We're going to step aside here real quick and bring the players in. But at the end, towards the end of the interview, we're going to talk about the Wolfpack program because in the Boyle Heights Beat, brand new articles come out, and those could be the potentials. Gilbert Herrera's and Jonathan Godoy's.
Oh, without a doubt.
The class of 2020, maybe.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break here. Come right back. Our first up that we're going to present to you will be Jonathan Godoy. He wore number 53 very proudly, and I think he's wearing it today, just again for today's program and in honor of his selection to the All-City Division One selection. And we're going to come right back after this quick timeout. Don't go away. East LA Sports Scene returns in just a moment. And presenting to you now, our viewers on East LA Sports Scene, to my far left and to your right, you'll see number 53, Jonathan Godoy. And Jonathan, welcome to the program. How are you doing?
Good, and yourself?
I'm doing well, doing well. Okay, we're going to take a quick moment here to speak with Coach. And then we're going to turn it right over to you, Jonathan. Coach, the characteristic, the leadership qualities you found in Jonathan as he matured and became a team leader. Talk about those, and then we're going to go over to Jonathan.
Yeah, Jonathan's just one of those guys that would just show up to practice every day. He was known as basically a quiet guy. He just shows up and does what he has to do. He's one of those guys that a lot of our younger guys look up to. He's well known. He's got great demeanor in terms of respect and doing all those things. So I couldn't be more proud to have him on my team.
And when his name came up for the All-City selection, you had to be very proud?
Oh, absolutely. I nominated several guys, and I thought maybe he could get second team, but it comes down to not only the recognition that we have as our coaches when we nominate guys. A lot of it has to do with the opposing teams. I know that, for example, Coach Fernandez at Garfield would always, in our conversation, would always bring him up.
Okay.
So he recognized him, and a lot of the other coaches in the city remember him from film. So when it came down to voting, they all voted for him.
All right. Now, here we go. Jonathan, let's get into your story now, because we want to have this opportunity to just get into your way of thought. How football, rather than soccer, baseball, basketball, why football? And talk about how that started you, what motivated you, and then your career in Roosevelt.
It mainly started with my dad. He introduced me to the game, and then ever since I just started liking it. I started off when I was about 8 years old playing Wolfpack, and then ever since I just kept going at it. So I came to Roosevelt.
And at that time, because is it part of the coach's theory and planning, when they see a bigger player, they want him to be a lineman. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And they kept working with you on that?
Well, yeah, I've been a lineman like my whole life, so worked out pretty good.
Okay. And sometimes the coaches kind of compete. Hey, what about Jonathan for tight end? Can I have him over here versus inside the trenches? Did that pop up every now and then?
Here and then, yeah.
It did. We all.
Okay.
I think we were going to have him on offense, and then the defensive coaches kind of brought him over first.
Okay.
As a sophomore, so he actually got his first start on the defensive line.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
All right, and then Jonathan, quickly rewind the tape here for our viewers. As a sophomore, Coach Cid said, "Hey, already they saw the potential there, and it was really shining brightly." And then talk about your junior and senior years.
Started, I believe, like the third.
Third game. How did you feel like starting as a sophomore in the classic?
There was a lot of pressure because like you guys believed in me, and like I never.
You didn't think you were going to do it? Well, hey, it was tough. I mean, we had to decide, but I think we made a good choice.
Yes. Now let's go through some of the highlights. There had to be some game during your junior senior year, other than the classic, because that we know is at its own mark. It's a very high level. But other games during this with the Eastern Conference, very, very competitive. Some highlights there.
The game that meant a lot to me was last year against Bao. It was our last game, and it meant a lot because it was my last game playing with my brother, and I played with them like for 2 years, and just I was never gonna play with them again.
Okay. Well, there is the sibling, not rivalry, but the cohesion, the togetherness that really made that moment happen for you. Now, Jonathan, let's talk about the classes and the academics, because student athletes, you have a future. But let's talk about what school you were in at Roosevelt, and then your grades and how you're looking for the future.
I'm currently in Humanitas Art School, and I pretty much worry about school a lot. Like, our coaches tell us school comes first before sports or anything, and I think it really does.
Okay. And let's talk about you as a student, some of your favorite classes, some of the kind of things you really excel at in the classroom.
I really like math. It's challenging, and pretty much school in general is good.
Okay. Now, June is just around the corner. Coming up here on that, as they say, that path to graduation. How are things looking? And then beyond high school, your thoughts and your dreams maybe in playing in college?
I love to continue playing, but as of now, like, I don't really know where I'm going.
Okay.
So I'm still looking.
And you will be on the graduation path, right? You will?
Yes.
Okay. So, Coach, I need to ask you then.
Sure.
In preparing these youngsters who have these now on their resumes, that this is a very important coaches for the future to look at his resume and say, oh, all city.
Absolutely.
And helping to guide our youth down to in academics and then to the next level to get that scholarship or get to college. Have you and Jonathan sat down?
Yeah, I think Jonathan has applied for a couple of Cal States, and some of the Cal States that he's applied to don't have football.
Oh, okay.
And he's facing kind of the same situation that his brother was in when he graduated, where his brother's at Cal State LA right now, academically, but I know there's always that itch to play. I was in a very similar situation that he's in. I chose to go to junior college first, knowing that I would have an opportunity to play, and then transfer from there.
Okay.
So he's in kind of the same situation. I think right now he's really focused on what he has to do right now. But I think he's been approached by a lot of the junior colleges and other people. So I think he's in the process. I don't think he's really aware that people want him as much as I don't think he really knows. But yeah, everybody's going to want this guy on their team.
Well, if I just chose, say, a school here in the backyard, of course,
absolutely,
college,
absolutely, yeah. I think the first school that came calling was West LA.
Okay.
West LA College, and they always try to recruit our guys. We've been complimenting it to the point where a lot of the junior colleges and other colleges like recruiting our guys because they say they're well coached, and they have a solid academic background, and they know that they're respectful, and they know that when they get a kid from our program, that he's going to do well, as opposed to some of the other schools.
Okay.
That's kind of what I've been told, so that's a compliment to our program, and whoever gets him is going to get an outstanding player, and I know he's going to excel.
Jonathan, let's talk about the moment that you were named to the team. How did you find out, and your family, the reaction among your family members, especially mom and dad?
My parents were proud of me. Like, they believed in me and that I was good, but I never really sat down to think about it. But after I found out, like, it kicked in, like, I had talent.
Okay, hard work pays off. And how did you find out the moment that your name was announced?
I didn't think I got first team. I thought I got like all league or another award, but getting all city, like, it meant a lot.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And of course, as any high school player would love to have in his memory banks or his album, a game such as the Classic. Just briefly, your emotions, your thoughts of having played in that game. Total of, was it 3 times at the varsity level?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your thoughts on that?
It just means a lot. Like, it's a game against brothers. Like, you grow up playing against kids from middle school, elementary, and like seeing them grow up and playing against them is like, you can't explain it. Like, you can't put it into words.
Okay. But it's one of those games that you got to feel very special, because not too many kids in the country can play in a game as a rivalry as big as that for 20,000 fans and playing in front of your community. Are you going to miss that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But you're going to look for new challenges.
Yes.
Down the road. Okay. Jonathan Godoy, we want to thank you for coming into the studio.
Thanks for having me.
We wish you all the best, and hopefully we'll see you on that graduation class.
Absolutely.
And Coach, this may be the last moment, in at least on the program with your player here. Any parting words for Jonathan?
I think that I hope that you could bring Jonathan back next year, with it maybe with a different colored jersey at a different campus, and then we could update, especially the people that are watching right now. We want to know where's Godoy going to be playing at next year, and hopefully you can invite him back to your program.
All right. Okay, that's going to conclude this segment here with Jonathan Godoy, all-city selection on the offensive line.
Correct.
And also was considered
but also,
for defense.
he I think we had him on the defensive line for all league. He made first team all league defensive line and all city on the offensive line. So that says a lot about a guy making all league and all city at 2 different positions.
Okay. So there's a lot for the Roosevelt Rough Rider program as well, and the coaches that took a lot of time to invest in Jonathan Godoy to make sure he could play at that level. And then, again, pursue his dream. He'll be in college next year, and we will give you back that report later on, maybe in the fall. So that'll do it for this segment. Coming up next, we're going to speak with the second All-City selection, Gilbert Herrera. Don't go away, East LA Sports Scene. We're rolling on. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back to East LA Sports Scene, and it is our special program here covering a Roosevelt High School Rough Rider program. Coach Javier Cid, and we've had 2 all-city selections. Number 1, you've just met Jonathan Godoy, but right now, up close and personal, it is time to meet Gilbert Herrera, number 3 on his jersey. Gilbert, welcome to East LA Sports Scene.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, Coach, same situation.
Sure.
The key element that you saw in Gilbert early to develop him, and has he matured to become that team captain and leader?
Yeah, I can tell you, I could remember the first time I actually met Gilbert was we usually bring in our 8th graders sometime during May. So we were in the softball field, and we brought in our 8th graders that were doing agility drills, and I noticed this kid that had outstanding footwork and outstanding drive. He's just a kid that worked hard.
Okay.
And I just thought to myself, oh, I think this kid could be special. And I was right.
Okay.
He turned out to be one of our best guys we've ever had.
All right.
So we're happy to have the opportunity to kind of work with him. Definitely.
Okay. Now let's get some more of the story from Gilbert himself. Gilbert, we're going to make sure you can speak right there to that microphone. And being part of the Roosevelt Rough Rider program, I know during our one-on-one post-game interviews, you've always sensed and told me that it was something that you really, really, really wanted to do ever since you were that age and you grew up. You wanted to play at Roosevelt, and Coach Cid, and found it. And talk about your career there at Roosevelt and how you matured and got better every year.
Yeah, well, I started off playing football around 10 years old. You know, I wanted to play because my parents tried to encourage me the year before, and I didn't want to, but my brothers did play, and I would go to his games, and I saw how it was. I wasn't really sure about too familiar with the game, but I liked it. So then the next year I played Pop Warner in the Bobcats, and then after that, all my dad, all my uncles, even my brother, they were all at Roosevelt. So I wanted to go to Roosevelt too, to like continue the story within our family. And then I knew I wanted to play because by the time I was an 8th grader, I was really in love with the game and I just wanted to keep on playing. So when I came over here, I just felt like good playing for Roosevelt, good because all my uncles supported me, especially since it was their school that they went to. And I just wanted to play and try to have some fun in the program. And I was lucky because I had a good group of coaches, teammates, and they all helped me and we all helped each other. And we all complimented each other to make sure that we try to do the best we could, not just supporting us in football, but in other outside in school and wherever else we needed help.
Okay. And your career blossomed year after year as a sophomore. Coach, let's go back and see where the highlights now for Gilbert, where you really wanted to push him further onward.
Sure, I can tell you. That we have a meeting with the parents every year.
Okay.
So he was one of the outstanding 9th graders, and we knew he was going to be outstanding. So after the meeting with the parents, his dad came up to me, and his dad said, "I don't want my son playing varsity as a 10th grader." He remembers that, and we had to really kind of convince his dad in town that it's going to be okay. That we a lot of times you're able to see the talent that some of the kids have, and as coaches we try to do what's best for the kids and what's best for our program. So yeah, we had to convince his dad that playing varsity as a 10th grader was going to be a good thing, and he started for us right off the bat. He started for us as a defensive back. I remember we gave him number 25, and he wore it proudly.
Yeah,
and he did a really good job for us. So. Now the last conversation I had with his father at a banquet where he was honored as a LA County Scholar Athlete by the Hall of Fame Foundation. He said that he told me thank you, and that it was the right thing for him to play varsity.
Beautiful. So okay, let's go back to Gil and talk about now some of the really highlights, the games that meant the most to you, if you can remember now, from your sophomore, junior, and then senior year.
Yeah, well, my sophomore year, I think the first game that really grew on to me was the first game I started, which was I believe the Wilson game at home, and that was really the first time where I got to see some varsity action, got to see how it is, and it was a big jump from JV to varsity.
Okay.
So that really made me know that it's different from JV and varsity, and I have to like step it up. And from there, I just knew that if I wanted to keep on playing, I had to do much better. And luckily, I did good in that game, so I was able to continue and start for my sophomore year.
Okay, and then your junior year?
Well, in my junior year, that's when I started playing offense. As Coach Cid said earlier, that he put me into the Wildcat as a quarterback. And at first, when he said that, I was like, I don't understand why, but I went with it. I wanted to be a quarterback. I was cool with it, so I started playing quarterback while I was playing DB, and I really liked it with the option read and being able to run the ball and pass it sometimes, like a trick plays or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was really fun. I think one of the games where one of the few games besides the classic that I liked was the I believe the Southgate game, which was quarterback Anthony was, I think something was wrong with his ankle, and they want to rest him. So I had the chance to start the whole game. So and I really liked it. We did good, and in that game, I think I had I don't know how many touchdowns, but I think I had a little over 200 yards. So I had a lot of big runs.
Yes.
So that was really one of the games that I enjoyed, and I really liked playing a quarterback as a Wildcat.
Okay. And then last year?
Yeah, well, last year.
You're both, we kept calling your name on offense and defense.
Correct.
I know the coaches kind of hold their breath sometimes on players in key positions. Coach, you can tell us.
Oh, absolutely. Gilbert's the guy that we were able to put anywhere on the field we needed. And a lot of times, if you got to put your best athlete at quarterback, luckily we were able to get a quarterback that kind of stepped up in David Arriaga. So we use him as a running back. But I think one of my Gilbert's had a lot of great highlights. And one of my highlights for him is we're playing the defending city champs Southeast at our house, and it's a battle. The game's going back and forth, and we, you know, it was in the second half, and you want to start off the second half with a you know, if we get the ball first, you say we got to score because that's gonna set the tone. So I don't know, was it fourth out or I don't know what it was. The third and long because we had a couple penalties. We decided to go option pass. So because he's able to throw the ball, we went option pass, and he threw this long pass on we needed a really key first down, and that play right there set the tone for the rest of the game, and we were able to beat Southeast, which I think was probably one of the most exciting games we had this past season.
And go back to Gilbert here, because we called some of those games and we saw you this past season, offense and defense, and just many big plays. Special teams, even punting as well. I can't say field goal, but punting, right?
We almost put it. He got it everywhere. Let me tell you.
But Gilbert, the news when it came down for you on being named to the All City, where were you? What were a little background, and what did you do? Did you have to get with Coach here real quick, or some teammates?
Well, I think if I remember correctly, I was at my house when I found out, and I think one of my friends from the football team, he was on Facebook or just somewhere reading it, just scrolling down, and he happened to see it, and he called me, and I didn't believe him because I was like, oh, how could you know, you know?
Yeah.
But he told me, and then he seemed serious, so I mean, like, I was really shocked to know, and I wasn't sure if I'd make it, you know, but when I found out, I was really happy and really proud of myself. I went to go tell my parents, and they were really proud of me, and it was just a really good feeling.
Good for you. Now, let's talk about that academic part. That's so key right now, because you're on the threshold of your next phase of life. You're going to college. Some thoughts on that now. You're going to graduate. And how was the academic year for you, and what school are you enrolled in at Roosevelt?
Yeah, well, academics is really a big part in my life, because I really want to get good grades so I could go to the college that I want, that I could do something good, but also that came with my parents really pushing me hard. My dad was really strict on me with my grades, making sure that I was always on track, getting A's, B's. He told me nothing less than a B, and he made it clear since I started playing football that if I don't have grades, if I don't stay with the A's and B's, I'm not gonna be able to play football. So because of that, I really want to get good grades, and as I started going through school a little bit more, it wasn't no more as that I just want to get good grades to play football. It was because I just wanted to get good grades for myself. So then I started getting even better grades. So that was really like a good thing that I was able to do it, not because my dad wanted me to, not because I wanted to play football, but because I wanted to be better in school. And as to next year, I'm not really sure where I'm going. I'm looking maybe into UC or Cal State is probably where I'm going to end up going.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Coach, the help side on that for Gilbert, to try to get him into a good situation?
Yeah, we work with some like this thing called the college service.
Okay.
We've passed on the information on him to a lot of the colleges, but Gilbert's, he's one of our outstanding guys without a doubt. We knew he was going to go to college, and he is going to go to college. And I think Gilbert and Jonathan Godoy both exemplify basically what we want out of the kids in Boyle Heights who want to participate in our program. They're the epitome of also why I coach is not just to win football games, but basically to prepare kids to make sure that everyone graduates and has an opportunity to go to college. So I couldn't be prouder of these guys. These two guys have made my job a lot easier. Where we have to really kind of focus on some of the other guys. But I can tell you right now that we have 100% graduation from high school in our program, and some of the guys we have to kind of fight with them and hit them over the head and make sure that they understand. But right now, everything looks good for us, and I think that's really what we try to focus.
Okay. One last question for Gilbert, and then we're going to close our segment and come back with the wrap-up. But Gilbert, as I mentioned to Jonathan, that one in a lifetime game, the classic, you're going to miss it.
Yeah, definitely.
Next year.
Yeah.
Talk about a little bit how that did things for you, psychologically, personally, team-wide, everything. How did that experience shape you a little bit?
Yeah, well, my senior year, this last classic was definitely the most memorable one for me.
Okay.
When we went into the game, we knew it was going to be a hard-fought game. We knew it was for league, we knew it was for playoffs, and we knew there was a lot on stake on the line for us for whichever team wins.
Mm-hmm.
And going into the game, it's just I was really anxious, just wanting to get it over with because the whole week everyone's talking about it, and when I was in there, it was really tough. You didn't get the same opportunities within the plays as you did with other teams.
Yeah.
Because they were really solid defense, and they really had us. They really knew what we were gonna run and knew our game plan. Not our game plan, but like our plays and how we run them. So
they were keen on him.
Yeah,
that's what he's trying to say.
Yes.
They were keen on it. They knew they had to stop him.
Yeah, of course.
You know?
Okay.
So they always knew mostly around where we were going, and they did a really good job tackling. So I wasn't able to break some of the tackles that I would with some other teams.
Mm-hmm.
So they were really good, and it was really good. It was a really good challenge for us. And going through the game towards the end, at some point, I just want to try to step it up to try to get our team in a better position. So I started trying to do whatever I could on offense and defense, and they were still in it with us, stopping us.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the chance at the end to get the touchdown, but unfortunately it didn't go our way. And it was tough for us after the game.
Mm-hmm.
We all felt like we should have done many things better.
Yeah.
But at the end, we're still together, and we still look forward to the playoffs because we couldn't stay behind on that game. Mm-hmm. So we all got together and said we gotta step it up for the playoffs now.
Okay.
That the past is the past, and try to move forward.
Okay. But a lesson well learned, and some lesson you'll take with you for life. Okay, we're gonna now at this moment, Coach. Same thing.
Sure.
Your last opportunity, maybe here in on our program to acknowledge your player here, and then we're gonna close out the session.
Like you said, Gilbert has received a lot of awards, and he was our besides he was a scholar athlete every year he was at our school. He was our MVP. As a junior and senior year, the team MVP, made all league every year as well. He was also the defensive player of the league of the Eastern League, and I said I guess the epitome for me was about a week ago, a little bit more than a week ago, he received the Scholar Athlete Award from the College Hall of Fame, the Hall of Fame Foundation from Los Angeles, at a really nice dinner over in West LA.
Beautiful.
And I was really happy. There was a couple schools that had 3 guys. Most schools only had 1 guy. Mm-hmm. Our school, we had 3 guys. We had Gilbert Herrera, Juan Garcia, and then we also have Miles Tavares. So 3 of our guys were honored that night, and that's really what it's all about. And like I said, hey, I could tell you right now, Gilbert, great guy. Absolutely. Love this guy, and I could see him doing a lot of great things in life.
Okay.
So we're proud of him.
Very successful, and we know that the blueprint's been made and laid down here in your family here in Boyle Heights, and also through the Bobcats, and just your willingness to learn and to become better. Gilbert, we wish you the best. Okay, we're going to wrap this up now and come back with our final comments here and remarks to close out this special edition of East LA Sports Scene. Don't go away. We'll be right back. We are back here to close things out here in this special edition of All City at Roosevelt High School. Big honor and tribute to the Roosevelt Rough Rider program. And as I mentioned earlier, the Boyle Heights Beat coming out with the latest edition. And way in the back, you're going to find a special article on what we've been speaking about here. It's a 2-pager. It's in English and Spanish. But on the left side, you'll see the Garfield portion of it. It's talking about the classic. And then on the right side, you'll see Roosevelt. And the title basically is what we just spoke about here. The title of the article in English: Competition starts early for East LA Classic. Pop Warner teams take the sport as seriously as teams. And Coach Cid has always the annual opportunity to be in that big game, but seen through the coach's eyes, but also through the player's eyes. And Coach, this article is speaking about the class of 2012, maybe.
Yeah.
That could be at Roosevelt and at Garfield. But again, let's go back to Jonathan at the Pop Warner level. Were you also playing at that time?
Yeah.
And was it the Wolfpack?
Yeah.
Okay, a little bit about that and how that might have prepared you to move on to Roosevelt.
Every Wolfpack kid goes up to Roosevelt like our Bobcats go to Garfield. So like it's like you see them when you're playing, like they're all big, and once you get to that age, it's like you want to be a role model for them.
Okay. And now that you are graduating from high school, you look back at those days. Did you ever connected to that by being at that Pop Warner, then high school, all city?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that. How do you feel now about that?
Now I feel really good. Like before, like I said, I didn't think I was that good until my parents told me and other people told me. Then it sunk in.
Okay. And along the way, you met the right coaches.
Yes, sir.
And of course, the teachers have to help you as well, and all those other good things. Anyone now that really stands out, other than the coaches, maybe someone in high school, or the tutor, maybe a teacher, someone that really had an impact?
All my teachers motivate me, so it's like not one, it's many.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, and then we'll flip the question over to Gilbert, because instead of the Wolfpack, you were competing against Jonathan at that time, right?
Yes, I was.
As a Bobcat.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about how that article can kind of ties things together.
Okay, well, the Bobcats really helped me when, as opposed like going into high school, because I was able to get the experience. I know if I didn't play, I wasn't gonna be as good going into Roosevelt. So really that helped me, because at first I started off as lineman, and then by the end I was a running back. So that's how I went into Roosevelt. And when I was in the Bobcats, like some of my teammates did play Wolfpack, and I didn't know any of them. So when I came into Roosevelt, it was really like a little rivalry in the beginning, but then like it blows off, and then we're all teammates at the end. So we all, like, I didn't know Godoy, and I played against them, but as we started playing in Roosevelt, we all bonded, and it was no more about Pop Warner, it was more about Roosevelt now. So that's what kind of happened as a ninth grader and going into Roosevelt.
Okay. Wow, Coach.
Yeah.
Now here you are, your perspective, because you see those kids now.
I can tell you that the success of Roosevelt, Garfield, and all the schools has a lot to do with the Pop Warner programs. I got to give a lot of credit to all the coaches that work with the kids ever since they start off in flag and they move their way up to full gear. Those guys are the ones that are doing an outstanding job with the kids, because I know that once we get them in high school, well, these kids are well prepared, they know the game, and we're able to kind of keep taking them to a higher level. So really, the credit goes to a lot of the Pop Warner coaches that they do an outstanding job. They really care about the kids. I think that's one thing that I've seen in Pop Warner. The coaches go out there for the kids, and they a lot of times they think that coaching is going to be easy, but it's not. And a lot of them have stayed many years coaching those kids. So I got to give a lot of credit to them, and also to the parents who go out there and spend a little extra money on their kids, who go out there every Saturday and even every night to drop off and pick up their kids. It's really important that they do that, because this is what you get when you. So I credit to all the Bobcat coaches that work with him. Credit to all the Wolfpack coaches that work with this guy right here, because the reason they're here, a lot of it has to do with them.
Okay, and that ties it right into the theme of this article, because here it is. This is talking about the beginning of what can happen to kids that begin to play at the Bobcat level and at the Wolfpack level in Pop Warner. And here, as you've met today, two all-city players from the respective from Roosevelt, and have really, really gone on to do great things, having learned the game right here at this level. And Coach, it says a lot to you as their coach and their mentor, good friend for life, as they say. And we want to thank you for bringing Gilbert and Jonathan.
Thank you. And I want to take this time to thank you, because the reason that everybody knows about these guys is because you come out all the time, and you support Ball Heights and East LA athletics. And if these guys are going to do their thing, but a lot of times people are going to find out how good these guys are because of you, because you come out and you support the kids. And I can tell you right now, I really appreciate it. It means a lot to us. It really does.
The same here, and we're just a sense of community here, as you know.
Absolutely.
And we all give what we can. And for me as a volunteer, it really is part of my most successful moment in life, is to be able to show the kids and showcase them, tell their story. Absolutely. Because as you know, many times it does not get out.
That's right.
To the public and to, at least to our community, they know our true champions, true young heroes down the road. And role models to the 10th degree. That's what they're going to be in life, and very successful. So, Jonathan, good luck to you. Okay. Gilbert,
thank you.
Always with you. And East LA Sports, and you have a home anytime.
Thank you very much. Okay.
That will do it for this edition of East LA Sports. And we want to thank producer and director, Mr. Juan Rojas, who has been very good to East LA Sports Scene as an intern and continues to work well with us here and has his heart and his mindset to really do what we need to do here for our community and for our programs. We thank him immensely and his family. And we look forward to seeing you on our next edition of East LA Sports Scene right here in studio, coming to you from the Boyle Heights Technology and Youth Center. Remember, stay healthy. You will be wealthy, and get into that gym or get into that sport. One of them you see right here on our table, even if it's 10 minutes a day. Get that exercise in, because we want to see you in our next edition and many more editions of East LA Sports Scene. Thanks again to our guests, Coach Javier Cid, Jonathan Godoy, and Gilbert Herrera, for coming and making this happen. We'll see you on our next show. Thanks for watching, and take care.